You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scott McKay.
All right, this is your main man, Scott McKay, coming at you again with another Snippet from the Summit as part of the Mountaintop Podcast. Guys, this is a topic that just came to me this morning based on a coaching call I had with one of you guys. As you may know or may not know, years and years ago, I wrote a book called Cook for Your Date. And the market research on it was amazing. Everybody said they wanted this book, that it was going to change their dating lives. And indeed, what I did was I put in that book everything I knew about how to get a woman to come over your place for the first time, how to make sure your place was absolutely ready for her to do that. And I even included a lot about what to do during dinner and what to do after dinner to make her a little bit frisky. And of course, put all kinds of recipes in there that come out amazing, but, which any guy who can boil water could pretty much get right. Well, the book sold okay, but it didn't sell phenomenally. And I think it's because a lot of guys think of cooking as something women do. Although, here's my comeback for that. If you look at almost all of the great chefs of the world, they're almost always men. So as a man who might potentially cook something for a woman, are you kind of just going around in the kitchen with an apron on acting like a chick, or are you kind of positioning yourself to be a chef? You see, now this is where the title of this particular snippet comes from. The old adage, of course, is that a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. In other words, any woman who can cook has got really a great advantage in attracting a mate someday. Well, it may or may not be true. I mean, my wife is a pretty good cook, but she's also hot and she's very sweet and she treats me right. So all that matters for something, right? Well, what if I told you that in a big way, the adage is not indeed gender specific? In other words, what if the way to a woman's heart is through her stomach too, at least in part? We as guys have to be well put together. We have to be masculine. We have to make her feel safe and comfortable. All those things I talk about all the time, right? But, guys, cooking for your date works. And here's why. Because what happens is when you share a meal with someone, you connect with them. You show them that you're welcoming them. You're giving them a gift that, might not be measured in dollars, but is measured in, your effort and your ability to welcome someone. This is why women will actually volunteer to come over to your house and feel safe with you simply at the suggestion of you cooking for her. Now, importantly, the idea of building connection with other human beings through food is not necessarily limited to male-female, potentially romantic relationships either, right? Business deals are cut over dinners, etc., etc. We all know that. So you could very easily get the book Cook for Your Date. It isn't going to break the bank. It's $20. Go through it and be off to the races. Here's the twist that I'm going to add today that caused me to believe, oh man, I just doubled down on my belief that women are really responsive to a man who cooks for them and will respond to him sexually with a lot of attraction when he does so. And of course, I found this out after I talked to someone today on a coaching call. Yeah, okay, you're cooking for her. You're giving her a gift. You're showing her that you know your way around the kitchen. You have a plan. You present it. And, she feels welcomed and you connect with her. During my coaching call today, one of you guys told me about how he basically cooked breakfast for a woman. Yeah, no details, right? He's cooking breakfast for a woman. And he made asparagus with hollandaise sauce and presented it in a certain way and put some red bell peppers on top. And the woman just gushed profusely about the presentation of the meal. And apparently it made her all that much hotter and hornier for him. Well, it reminded me of something I saw last week about how we look at food according to our socioeconomic class of all things. Obviously, if you're destitute and don't have a lot of money, how do you look at food? Well, you look at it as a way of stuffing your gullet with something, anything, because you're starving. Middle-class people, what do they look for? Well, they look for the best bang for the buck. What's the best food I can get that's on sale? What coupons can I clip, et cetera, et cetera. People who are making quote-unquote good money want to splurge a little bit extra for the expensive stuff because it tastes great. So you're looking for something that is absolutely delectable because you have the means to afford it. But what about the truly wealthy? What about the people who are in the top 1%? Well, according to this thread that I read online, the person was supposing that people who are at the top socioeconomic echelon look for presentation. Hence those Michelin-starred restaurants that are all about how the food looks, but you may not even be full after you're done eating. You know what I'm talking about. So don't get me wrong. All of those other reasons that the masses would choose a certain kind of food still apply also. This is simply an extra, more refined and evolved component layered on top of the rest of the big picture. So if this is true, consider the implications of that in terms of how you're going to come off with a woman when you're cooking for her, based on what you do and the strategies you use. Let's go back to my friend who cooked breakfast for his lady friend just the other day. It was all about the presentation, wasn't it? What does that subcommunicate, or even directly communicate to the woman he's serving breakfast to? Not only does he know how to provide and protect because he gave her breakfast and he has things handled, but because he focused on presentation, he appears to her, at least psychologically, as this top echelon 1%er of a dude. Now, here's the good news. You can take normal everyday food and present it just so a woman's psychology will be activated as such. Man, what an incredible advantage for you. First of all, not only when you simply just cook for a woman, but also when you serve it to her in a way that focuses on presentation. By the way, guys, on that note, check out the Bananas Foster dessert option in Cook for Your Date. That's pretty much the ultimate presentation. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, it works. After 19 years, my wife still talks about the time I served her Bananas Foster on our third or fourth date when I cooked for her. Want to talk about this or anything else? Scott at mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.